listening to the Created to Create show.
Welcome back. Happy Monday. This is Created to Create. I'm your host, Ben Gluntz, and this is Creative Flow, where we pretty much try to get in the creative flow. That's it. That's all it is. So I was looking at the calendar the other day, and I realized that next month will be 6 years of me living in Los Angeles. I moved from Indianapolis, Indiana back in May of 2020. It was right after COVID. And that fact kind of just boggled my mind. I can't believe it's been 6 years. It feels like it's been 15 years, but at the same time, 2 years or less. And that just really rattled me. But it got me thinking about that question that I asked myself about 6 years ago, which was, should I move from my hometown? And it's always a thought that I had growing up, not necessarily, I want to leave, I got to get out of here. But it was always a question, hey, when the time comes, when I become an adult, should I move or should I stay? There's kind of two options there on the surface level. And I made the decision to move away. And it was a very hard but very simple decision when it came down to it for me, because I kind of analyzed where I was and I realized that was the best way for me to grow. But I want to just ask you guys a few questions and hopefully bring up some points that make you think a little bit more about that decision, whether it's a decision you've already made or whether it's a decision you're thinking of making, in 5 years, or maybe thinking of making in 5 weeks or whatever it is. I think it's just really important to understand, that concept fully. I grew up in Indianapolis, Indiana, and that wasn't my only hometown. I also grew up in Tennessee, but the majority of my childhood was in Indianapolis. They're known for corn on the cob, and more corn. No, in all seriousness, there's a lot of things there. The Indianapolis 500, a lot of sports, great food, Southern hospitality, even though it's a northern state, but it's true. There's a lot of genuine people in Indiana, and it was a great place for me to grow up. So why would I move away from a place that shaped me into who I am today? I think those years that I spent in Indiana growing up and then also going to college before I dropped out, they were really pivotal for me. And it's something that I'll always look back on with gratitude. But it was moving away from me that caused me to finish the growth that my hometown actually started. And I think there were a few reasons why I felt like I needed to move away. One of them was I just felt like it was more comfortable for me to stay in Indiana rather than move away to another city and state. And for me, I was pursuing uncomfortability. I really loved the idea of pushing myself. And I knew that if I stayed in Indiana, I would kind of sink into the grooves that I had created and that were created for me. And I would just kind of sit in comfortability and just get into rhythms. And not that rhythms are bad, rhythms are good, but there can be bad rhythms that don't help growth. And I also had a desire to see the world. I had a desire to see God's creation, experience culture, and put myself in a place where I was constantly being inspired by more of what I was seeing. And as I alluded to before, Indiana's got a lot of corn, and it has a lot of beautiful places as well, I will say. But, no mountains, and I love mountains. So there are just things that kind of made me think, oh, wow, the world is big. And, I have free will. God's given me free will, and I'm able to kind of make this choice for myself. I think another thing was I had really pursued community intensely in high school and college. I really dug into friendships as much as I believe I could. And in doing that, I kind of came to understand that my pursuit of what I felt God was calling me to in life didn't necessarily resonate with the majority of my community. And I think that made me understand that maybe this wasn't the right place for me. And maybe that I needed to search for another place and community that did understand that and could be that grounding foundation in life. Because I think anything in life, you need to have people in your everyday daily life that are pushing you and pulling you and asking you the tough questions with the understanding of what you believe you're called to do in life, and how you're called to do it in life. And I also just understood deeply that God was calling me into a different season of life. And so that it's a hard reality, but I realize that that's okay. And I can understand and be grateful for the years that I had in my hometown, while also knowing that I should move on to something new and pursue what God, was calling me to do. Yeah, I think there were a lot of benefits to that decision. I think, for me, my curiosity for life spiked. I became more and more passionate for the simple things in life because I moved, and it started to result in a lot more daily joy. I think things were a lot harder once I moved. I'll get to that, but I just found that I had a lot more daily joy. And I put myself in an environment that gave me a lot of that daily joy. Being by the beach literally does not hurt that possibility of finding joy in your daily life. My environments, like I said, were like so much harder, 10 times harder and difficult to navigate than my hometown environments. And to be honest, they still are today, but this challenged me, and I really like a challenge. I think on the surface I don't, but deep down I do. And it's really, really hard for me to navigate. But when I'm challenged, I love to rise. I love to rise to the occasion. I love to rise to the moment and meet that challenge and try to beat it, try to rise above it. So that really excited me. And then I gained a lot more perspective on my life and the world around me through new friends and experiences. I gained more of an understanding of God's love for the world, I think, because of all the new people that I met and the new ways of living that I found out people had that I didn't necessarily experience in my hometown. Good and bad. I think you can learn from both good and bad experiences and people in the world. And you're going to get hurt. You're going to fall down. You're going to get bruised and broken. People are going to stab you in the back. That's a reality of life, or the reality of the world that we live in. But gaining that new perspective on the realities of the world really helped me grow as a person and understand, how good God's grace actually is, speaking from a faith standpoint. And I think I mentioned this already, but my last benefit that I wrote down here is I just gained extreme gratitude for my hometown. I gained extreme gratitude for the people in my life that pushed me forward when I did live in Indianapolis and the surrounding areas. The people that I met along the way that brought me joy, that I got to relate with, that I got to share life with. And it made me so grateful for that time. Even in high school playing basketball and working at Chick-fil-A, it's the classic Christian thing to do as a high schooler. But just all those things that I experienced in the world that I lived in really did help shape me. I had a great basketball coach growing up that I look back on now and just have an immense gratitude for how he shaped me and my teammates and how he pushed us to think about bigger things in the world rather than just the game of basketball, and how he used that game to teach us life lessons. I think it's really important, to be grateful for that, because without that, where would I be? I would be at ground zero. I would be not in a place to even conceptualize what moving away from a hometown meant and what that could do for me. Right. And so I think it's just really, really important to think about those things. There's a lot of creative gains that I want to talk about as well. But before I get to that, I want to bring on my friend Vito. Vito's a funny guy and one of my best friends. And funny enough, he moved from Indiana as well as me to LA. So we both made that same journey from the Midwest to the West Coast. But as always, I want to get another perspective. So I'm going to call my friend Vito, get him on the line, and let's see what he has to say.
What's up, brother?
What's up, dude? How's it going, dude?
Good.
Good, bro. Hey, well, I'm on my podcast right now. I'm recording, and I'm kind of chatting with the audience about what it means to move from your hometown and like the importance of that. And I thought of you because we both made the same move from Indiana to Los Angeles, even though we didn't know each other growing up. And you've obviously become one of my best friends since that. And we've talked a lot about this. So I wanted to hop on and just get your perspective on it.
Dude, the boys made it out of the cornfields.
The corn, dude. That's what I was saying. I was telling them, I was like, there's 3 things in Indiana: corn on the cob,
And cornfields, yeah.
and cornfields. Exactly.
Yeah, man. Yeah, the Indiana boys, they don't make them like they used to.
No, they don't. So to clarify for the audience, so for me, I like kind of grew up near the big city, and so I kind of experienced it growing up. For Vito, he's actually done this twice now. You basically moved from your hometown to the bigger city of Indianapolis, from like a podunk small farm town in the middle of nowhere. And then you made the move from Indiana to LA, which is obviously a lot bigger.
Yeah, exactly. So fast forward, when I moved to Indianapolis, that was like a huge jump for me. So I was 21. I moved to Indianapolis from my small town in Indiana, like central northern Indiana,
Right.
to Indianapolis, and that was like insane. I had never really been to any other bigger city than Indianapolis, so that's kind of all I had known. And so I did that at 21, and I was in Indianapolis for, I was there for 3 years. Yeah, about 3 years.
Yep.
And, I was there during COVID. So it was such a weird time because, I didn't know what I was doing. I had dropped out of college, like junior year, and I was an Uber driver. I had no clue what I was doing. I was doing a little video and photo on the side, but it was nothing like to keep me stable. I was probably making like $300 every month, like just doing random photo and video gigs.
Yeah, I could maybe buy you groceries and that's about it.
Barely. Some
in this economy.
Definitely, yeah.
When you were like going through the whole process of moving from Kokomo to Indy, then moving from Indy to LA, what was the most important thing on your mind when you were thinking of, I need to make, this next big step?
Yeah. So a couple of my friends lived in Indianapolis, and, I moved there not really knowing, because I transferred from IU Kokomo to IUPUI.
Okay.
Like that's where I was going to like finish schooling.
Yeah.
And I ended up dropping out within 6 months of transferring there. I was like, I hate school. I have no clue what I'm doing here. What's funny? At first, I was actually going for nursing. So
you were going for nursing.
Freshman year, I was going for
wild.
nursing.
You and me both, bro. I dropped out. I dropped out of school as well. We have that in common.
The whole thing was just like a nightmare. I was like, first of all, hate school. I can't even stay focused. I definitely have ADHD because, I took medicine for it in middle school. Anyway, I was like, I hate this stuff.
Gotta get out.
So
Gotta get out.
I dropped out. It was crazy. I didn't tell my parents at first.
Wow.
And when I told my dad, he was like, he wasn't mad, but he was like, oh, you should like try going back for something else or, whatever. And
at least finish with like
mom,
a degree.
Yeah. He exactly. He was like, dude, you're like, I'm like, I literally can't. And so I told my mom, and my mom, she said one of the most important things that, still to this day I remember. She was like, she goes, that's okay. You'll be successful at anything you do. And I remembered her telling me that.
That's beautiful.
And because she said that, I had to make it a reality to become successful because she said it. And so, I literally, like, even though I struggled after dropping out, I made it like my mission to like become successful. I literally had to eat shit for like years to be able to get to where I'm at.
Yeah.
But, that was like one of the most important things that she said after I dropped out.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful, bro. I mean that we're not even like talking about moms necessarily, but I feel like that's so important to recognize, like having a mom that just loves and cares for you and sees things in yourself before you even see them in yourself. That's so cool, dude.
Yeah, and not even her. Like, there was a lot of people around me that, spoke wisdom into me and just like, that believed in me, even though I didn't really believe in myself. And, I have to credit a lot of my success to those people.
100%.
So.
Well, that's really important. Like I was talking earlier about the idea of gratitude for your hometown. Like, cause when you move away, like, I think it's so easy if you already have bitterness in your heart to like have bitterness towards, oh, it's my hometown. Like, oh, I'm better than that. Like, that's why I moved away. But like, it's so important to have gratitude and like realize the impact that your hometown did make on you. And I think with this whole podcast, this whole like concept of moving away, I think sometimes people can think about it as an egotistical thing. Like, oh, you need to move away because you're better than your hometown. Like your hometown's holding you back and you become bitter. But that's not necessarily what I'm saying. Like, I'm not saying, in fact, like I'm saying like, if you are bitter, you should kind of analyze that and deal with that before thinking of moving away. Because then it's just going to become a crutch in and of itself. Like you moving away from your so-called problems that you didn't deal with is going to be more of a crutch than like staying, in that hometown. But like you moving away, you had like, it seems like you have a lot of gratitude for, that season of your life. And now that you did move away from your hometown and you have the benefits of, inspiration, meeting new people, growing yourself, being around people that are pushing you, you also have that gratitude for the people that did that before you moved.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I definitely wouldn't change anything about, my life or what I had to go through.
Cool.
I mean, going through the struggle taught me a lot. And I don't think I would be as appreciative of where I'm at if I didn't go through those things.
So true. Yeah.
And the nice thing is that I can help out other people who are, just starting out and share like what I had to go through so they don't have to make those same mistakes,
Right. Yeah, it's so important. Well, speaking of that, I want to get your take here. So for someone listening who is thinking of making a jump, whether it's, dropping out of college or whether it's moving to another state or moving away from your hometown or starting a new career or whatever it is, what would you look for if you did it again? Like what things would you analyze going through that decision of, hey, I think I'm going to make this big jump in my life and change up my environment?
Yeah. I would say just moving from your hometown in general to anywhere. It doesn't even have to be a big city. It can just be a different city.
Yeah.
You get so many more different like ideas and just like meet new people who are doing things that you didn't even know were possible,
So true.
And so I would say like, if you're young, you don't have anything holding you back, you're thinking about moving to a different city, like come up with a plan if you don't have one and just do it, And it does kind of depend on like what you want to do. Like, whether you're going to school somewhere else other than your hometown or like you wanting to move jobs, those things play a factor. But if you're on the fence about it, come up with a plan and do it as soon as possible, especially if you're young, So
how do you come up with that plan? What would be the first thing that you would analyze or look at?
ChatGPT. I'm just kidding.
No, this is 6 years ago, dude.
Maybe.
No ChatGPT.
I mean, dude, honestly, like I really didn't come out here with a plan. I was like, I came out here with like $5,000, and I was like, if I run out of this money and I become broke, I'll either just live in my car or go back home. That was like my plan.
Yeah.
And so I didn't really have any other option other than to make it work. But and I'm one of those people who just kind of takes those risks like that. I'm kind of like more risky than analytical, I would say. But I know a lot of people are the opposite. And so I would it just depends on what you're doing. Like if you're in school or like say you're in high school and you want to go to college, like go to college somewhere other than your home, like near your hometown, you know?
Yeah.
Or like if you're wanting to pursue video, like go somewhere where people are doing, you know, like videos that you want to make, you know, or find a mentor that's doing exactly what you want to do and follow their lead.
Yeah,
you know?
So good.
So like make friends in that city first, because I think that half the battle moving to a different place, especially if you don't know anyone, is making friends.
Yeah, it's very hard.
Because if you don't have those friends, then it's going to be really hard to, you know, be stable in that city.
Right. Yeah, I totally agree. I think one of the main things that pushed me to make that decision, and one of the main things that I think about now, is people are at the center of everything, like you were saying. And so you want to be around people that are like in your daily life pushing you towards the things that you want to do with the understanding of who you are and who you are called to do, like called to be, right? Like your mom saw what you were capable of before you saw it. And having those people in your life, you know, friends, family, even coworkers or even clients or bosses, whatever it is, people like that are going to push you. And I think you hitting on friends is so important because that's like that first layer outside of family, that relationships that you get to build that understand you the best and can help you make some of these decisions and navigate through these life altering decisions that you're making.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Would you say that everybody should move from their hometown at one point in their life?
I mean, I think it would be a good idea if you're young.
Okay.
If you're just getting out of high school or college, for sure.
Yeah.
If you don't have anything holding you back, I would say just go for it. I think it's very important to do. And still maintaining relationship with, you know, family back home. That's one of the hardest things is like, you know,
tough.
I normally just go back for the big holidays, you know, Thanksgiving and Christmas. So it's hard being away from family. But I would be a totally different person if I had stayed back home. I probably would be just working a normal job. Mm-hmm. You know, I don't know if I would be able to do freelance, you know, full time and buy a house and have a family. I just don't know if that would even be a thing, especially in Indiana, you know?
Yeah.
So I would say it's an important, you know, step, especially if you're younger.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, I agree. Young, like being young and just even trying to understand yourself and your place in this world, it's so important to kind of move away and give yourself like a new environment.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. That's so cool, bro. I mean, hey, you're crushing it out here. Obviously, I see it every day, and it's so cool to just kind of reminisce a little bit on on Indiana and kind of where we were, because it's so important. Like for me, it's such an important part of my life, and I just have so much gratitude for it.
Yeah, 100%, man. Yeah, the Hoosier boys, we're out here, we're trying.
The Hoosier boys. Hey, the Indiana Hoosiers, they won their first college football national title. Kind of crazy.
That's right.
Indiana's big time
waves,
now.
Baby. That's right. We might have to move back.
Maybe. It's not the first place I'd move. I love it so much, but it's not the first place I'd probably move back to. But I do love going and visiting, and it's cool to see them doing big things.
100%.
All right. Well, we'll chat soon. I appreciate your insight, bro. As always, it's so important.
Of course.
And you have a,
yes, sir.
You have a really cool outlook on life. And yeah, just always good to chat.
Yes, sir. All right. Love you, dog.
Love you too, bro. Hey, you're the first person I think I've said I love you to on this podcast.
It's all love, brother.
All
That's
love,
what you
bro.
said. It's all love.
All right. Later, brother.
See you, man.
It's so good. Yeah, I mean, Vito summed it up pretty nicely, and I think it's so important to ask yourself those questions when if you're thinking of moving. I like his answer too. I always try to peg those those really hard 100% questions where it's like, oh, does everybody need to move from your hometown? And obviously the answer is no. Everybody does not need to move from your hometown. And it's not what I'm trying to say, but I think it's really, really important, especially as a young person and as a creative, we're people that strive for more inspiration and more innovation, and we want to solve problems. And I think for creative people, it's definitely essential. Again, not 100% must, but if you're a creative person, I think it's good, at least once to move away, whether you stay in that new place, move to a different environment, or come back home. I think the important thing to understand is leaving your hometown doesn't mean that you never move back. I think sometimes we think, oh, if I leave, if I go and move somewhere else, that means I'll never come back, and our parents maybe put that fear in us. They're like, oh, you're never going to come back. I think the important thing to realize is that you can come back. It's perfectly normal and fine for you to come back to your hometown, home environment. And what's funny is when you do move away and then you move back, your hometown feels a lot different. There's a lot of things that have probably changed, and you have a new perspective on it that you probably didn't have and wouldn't have if you had stayed there to begin with. And so that's why I believe moving at least once, whether it's for college or whether it's for a new job opportunity or just to find new community and experience life in a different way. I have friends that have, moved across the country, across the world, and then moved back home, and they're completely better people for doing that. And so it doesn't have to be this big, long-term, permanent thing, but it is a growing experience, and it's a good growing experience. So yeah, always just ask yourself, analyze your bubble, is your bubble helping you grow, or is it, causing you to be stifled? The people, the resources that you have in your hometown, are they helping you grow? And if you think like it's going to be better for you to move away, then I think you should go for it. Vito said it perfectly. Just do it. Nike, just do it. Just send it. Just, pack your stuff up, make the move, and watch how God's going to move in your life. Guys, thanks again for tuning in. It's been a fun one today. It was fun to have Vito on, reminisce. Hey, reminder, if you have an old friend and you just thought of them because we were talking about hometowns and like nostalgic things, shoot them a text, give them a call, and say what's up, say you miss them, because life's too short. You know what I mean? And it's good to call your friends and let them know you're thinking of them. I received a text from one of my closest friends actually today, and it just made my day. The fact that I got to reconnect with them a little bit. So give him a text, give him a call. Yeah, guys, have a good week. We'll see you back next Monday. And just remember, you're created to create. So do something about it. See you guys.
You're listening to the Created to Create show.